Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the weekly show with Aditya. A half an hour show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in association with Dusra.net, the number one website. This is episode 111 on 11th of September 2019. Welcome to part 1 of this episode. Will the Ashes end as a 3-1 result or a 2-all result? England captain Joe Root, who is under pressure as his tactical acumen has been questioned this series, and he also personally hasn't made too many runs in terms of centuries after centuries like his counterpart Steve Smith. The final match at Oval is certainly expected to create some drama, as this tournament will decide which team takes a leap as far as the Test World Cup or the World Test Championship is concerned. Root will be hoping that he can contribute along with his teammates Jason Roy and Josh Butler, who are under pressure to contribute to their team's victory by scoring runs. If they can do that in the final match, England does have a good chance of equaling the series. But for that, their first target is how to get rid of Steve Smith. As the other senior player in David Warner hasn't contributed up to the extent that Steve Smith has, so will David Warner continue to be favored by the team's coach, or will he make way for Usman Khawaja, who might get to open, and that means another player might be inducted into the team? Will Australia finally realize that Marnus Labuschagne is more than just a part-time bowler? He should be given the same respect as the other 4 bowlers. Australia does not like to change the winning combination, so will they stick to this side, or will they finally realize that having an all-rounder is an asset and have a Mitchell Marsh in place of a Matthew Wade and give more bowling opportunities to a Marnus Labuschagne to take the pressure off the 4 regular bowlers? There is a possibility that they might just go with Warner. They might just give him another chance because they trust him. He has returned on a high and they will want him to contribute like Steve Smith. But first, he has to get past the bowling of Stuart Broad, who has made him his bunny. Means Stuart Broad has dismissed a David Warner more than 5 times in this series. If Warner can be patient against Broad and Archer, then he can take care of the other bowlers with elan. That is what a Warner needs to do, along with his opening partner Marcus Harris, because the opening partnerships from both the teams hasn't been of the highest quality, and this has put pressure on a Steve Smith and a Marnus Labuschagne. And also the individuals after Steve Smith haven't contributed, that is Travis Head and Matthew Wade. So basically for Australia, out of 11 batters, there are only 2 who contribute more than 50% of the runs, and therefore a David Warner needs to take charge so that Steve Smith does not come in the 5th over of the day. If Warner contributes along with Travis Head, then it might just be ominous for the England team, and it is the same for England. If Jason Roy, Josh Butler, Joe Root, they all contribute, then the Australians will be the one under pressure, because the bigger the partnership for England, and if Australia go with only 4 regular bowlers, and if we still consider Marnus Labuschagne to be a part-time bowler, then fitness issues will crop up as the likes of Stark, Hazelwood and Cummins have bowled a lot of overs in this series and are definitely fatigued. So the only way to put pressure on Australia and make these four bowlers bowl for more than 10 to 12 overs in one spell is for the England openers to have a partnership, then the likes of Josh Butler and Ben Stokes to go into the one day mood they prefer. Will England insist with Jason Roy in the team after the experts have exposed his techniques to fast bowling? And will England finally induct Sam Curran in the team as the all-rounder? Because if we remember, Sam Curran was the nemesis in the India-England Test series last year. He was the reason England could go from 87 to 7 to 160 all out in a few matches. So why not have Sam Curran in this tournament in the final match and give him the license to go for what he did last year? Because for England, James Anderson is done. They have to move on from him. He has been their premier fast bowler for the past 17 years, but it's time to give that mantle to the likes of Jofra Archer and Sam Curran, along with the all-rounders in Chris Wokes and Ben Stokes. In the fourth match, England erred by not sending their best batsman after Joe Root in Johnny Bairstow at number 4. Even if this had meant a Jason Roy coming at number 6 or number 7, it would have worked perfectly for England. So in the final match, if England needs to get going, they have to send a Johnny Bairstow at number 4. So Root at number 3, Bairstow at number 4 and Stokes at number 5 does make a formidable middle order, along with Rory Burns and Joe Denley as a lethal opening combination. It will be interesting to see as to how both the teams make the respective tactical changes. Rohit Sharma is being looked as an opener in the test matches. And why? Because they feel that Rahul hasn't contributed up to his potential. This means one thing, that by hook or crook, they want Rohit Sharma to be part of the team. And if that means sacrificing another talented player, then so be it. While I agree that Rohit is a talented player, putting Rahul in such a spot is not the solution. And what will they do once Hardik Pandya comes back? Who becomes the next Patsy? This will be an interesting development. And this is also an answer to the media that the whole Rohit Kohli conflict was a sham concocted by the media, as one would like to call it, fake news. They want to give it a try, so let's go with it and let's see what happens. But Rahul must not be sacrificed at the altar. So now it is a question of wait and watch. South Africa have decided to rope in an interim batting coach who can help the players to counter the spinning conditions. This is a strategy used by visiting teams, excluding the Asian teams, where they rope in a spin bowling consultant or a batting consultant to help them during the series to counter the conditions. This is basically for their mental conditioning and not the physical play. And they deliberately employ those who are not known well in the international arena, means players who have not once played for the country or those who don't have much of a contribution to boast of. One of the reasons for such hiring is that the players they employ won't have the ego of the players who have played at the international level, and such players are more than happy to take up such assignment, which might give them their 2 minutes of fame. And these players don't mind if a few secrets are revealed as to how to play in those condition. While this is a tactic by the visiting teams to the Asian part of the world, that is Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, India, why can't India do the same when they go to New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, and England? Why don't we also temporarily, for those 3 or 4 months, hire a batting or a bowling coach to help the Indian players acclimatize to that condition? And while most would argue that we have a batting coach to help in this aspect, our own batting coach has little or no international experience. So it is important that we recruit for that short period of time someone from that country who can help the team acclimatize to the conditions mentally. While we have a Virat Kohli, a Rahane, a Rahul, a Rohit Sharma who are as good as one can be, but still, for the sake of the psychological aspect, it would not do anyone any harm to go for hiring a temporary coach for that particular condition, because only in cricket can we have such appointments. Even though the acumen in terms of technique and your mental thought process required in cricket is nothing compared to what you need in a chess or in badminton or in tennis. But to have such appointments, first there has to be some kind of an understanding between the board, the COA, and the team management. Because in India, such appointments might just rub a few individuals the wrong way. So, unless the board and the COA agree that they will not interfere in any decisions of the team management once they are touring other countries, and they have the full power to employ such individuals for a short period, then only will you see such appointment. Till the board and the COA indulge in the minutest of decisions by the team management, such decisions will not come to light. And knowing the complexities of the Indian sport, it will become a difficult task. So if the other teams can do it, so should we. This has nothing to do with power, more to do with strategizing. Even PV Sindhu, when she won the world championship, she gave all the accolades to a South Korean coach who helped her come through the technical problems she was having, and nobody objected. So if this can happen, then why can't we do the same in this particular sport, and only for that short period? The answer to such a question will never be easy unless there is a smooth understanding between the three departments I mentioned. Thank you for listening to part 1 of this episode. Stay tuned for part 2. Welcome to part 2 of this episode. It's time to delve into the world of WWE. The finalists of the King of the Ring tournament have been decided. It will be Baron Corbin versus Chad Gable. Names which are not very popular in this part of the world, but after securing a win next week, they might just become the part of the cult folklore and the craze we have for the likes of John Cena, Triple H, Kurt Angle, and the rest. Even this particular tournament, as the WWE mantra is, did not go down before having a couple of controversies. A certain Elias was scheduled to face Chad Gable for his semi-final match, but he was injured. Therefore, Shane McMahon took his place, and in true McMahon style, he tried to make the match in his favor. But despite all the efforts, he lost, and Chad Gable made it to the finals. And now this becomes a Raw versus SmackDown prestige match as to which of the two brands will be superior and from which brand will we have the King of the Ring. Well, this part shall be known next week, and I will keep updating you on the same. But now let's move on to another pay-per-view, that is the Clash of the Champions. In this particular pay-per-view tournament, every championship will be defended. So it's Shinsuke Nakamura versus The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. AJ Styles, the current US champion, will defend his title against Cedric Alexander. The WWE champion Kofi Kingston will go on one-on-one against Randy Orton, who is looking to be a 13-time WWE champion. We are already aware of the Seth Rollins Braun Strowman story. They will defend their tag team championship and they will also face each other for the Universal Championship. The New Day will defend their SmackDown tag team championship against the Revival, and there are a few more interesting championship bouts. But another interesting one is the one between Roman Reigns and Eric Rowan in a no disqualification non-title match. After Roman Reigns had faced Braun Strowman for over 2 years as a big opponent, he now faces Braun Strowman's former partner Eric Rowan in a very important clash, in a psychological clash between these two wrestlers. And a good result might pave the way for Roman Reigns for a title contention in the future. I will keep you updated on how these matches went. This brings to an end part 2 of this episode. Welcome to part 3 of episode 111. Celebrities and social media. Nobody exploits social media the way a few celebrities do. They use this platform and express their opinions for and against certain issues. And the common individuals, as gullible as we can be, tend to follow them and agree with them without having any thoughts of our own. So-called fanatics look up to them when these celebrities endorse campaigns and brand, and we presume that people want to emulate them. But who defines who is a celebrity? What defines a celebrity? These individuals use their fans' blind faith to get a message across, or go public and share their various struggles they've had. And for us, celebrities would include performing artists like actors, sports persons, singers. But the question is, should we accept what the celebrities say at a surface level, or should we think twice before accepting their issues and their opinions? Yes, everybody has the right to their opinions, but it certainly doesn't have to be taken at the face value. We only make celebrities out of common individuals, and then these celebrities, in this euphoria, try to exploit their fans' gullibility and weakness, and if they shared something personal, we feel for them. We all understand that followers on social media are not really followers, they are pseudo followers. Neither can we take the followers seriously, nor can we take the people whom they follow seriously. So in the last few years, a few actors, writers, and individuals engaged in other professions have come out with their struggles of depression and drug abuse or alcohol abuse. Admitting such things on social media of all places doesn't evoke sympathy. It's not about trivializing such issues, but do you believe these individuals when they say that they suffered from depression, or is it just another publicity stunt? Even if they do go through such issues, this is their private life. It should be kept private. Publicizing it doesn't bring any kind of empathy. It's our fault when we start giving such importance to a few individuals. It's a counter effect, and these individuals get on a high quite literally, and then when they realize that they have gone through some problems, then they take the recourse to admitting such follies to their fans, which seems contradictory at best. The whole idea of using social media for campaigning against such issues reeks of double standard and hypocrisy. For me, putting such individuals and giving them the tag of celebrities itself is the result of being too fanatic about someone. So if this was an individual who was not well known, let's say was not a celebrity, and came out and expressed such issues and said that they also went through similar problems, would we believe them? Would we support them? No. Why? Because they are not well known, and social media has a habit of generating liars. So by just giving importance to a certain category of individuals and ignoring the rest, what message does it give? That an individual is a nobody unless we as fans give you that public image, while others who work equally hard, even more harder than these celebrities, don't get that kind of importance that they should. So this basically means that social media is of the publicity, for the publicity, and by the publicity. And we all understand that things like depression is a state of mind. And this particular group of people aren't the only one who struggle or work hard and have their own issues. So let's not give so much importance to them while ignoring others. This hypocrisy which is generated is a dangerous trend. Social media might be here to stay, but social media must be taken for what it was developed for: rumors and a whole lot of hogwash. If we start taking everything seriously, then yes, depression will be a cause. So the only way to avoid depression is to take everything semi-serious and ignore a few things which need to be ignored. If you don't think you are depressed, you won't be depressed. So stress, depression, all this is only a state of mind and abstract. It is not the question of trivializing such issues. Such issues won't exist if we don't bring it to the fore. And therefore the solution is a few things should be kept private. Social media, especially the likes of Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, is the last place to express such ideas. Well, those who want to do it, good for them, but it won't bring about any result what they are expecting. As we know, people will do anything to espouse publicity. So we have to be smart into deciding as to what is publicity and what is truth and what is fake and what is authentic, because at this moment everything is jumbled up, or as we say, favorite Indian dish, everything is khichdi. Startups, another beautiful term that we use without understanding. In a recent report, national capital is also startup capital region. But what do we mean by startup? For me, the term startup is insulting, degrading, and a discrimination for new companies which crop up, because we tend to get so rigid in the idea of what is a startup and in what sectors can a startup perform. I think we should do away with the word startup in the first go. The biggest hurdle is that a new company, or as we like to call it, a startup, will be only recognized in a few fields. The only sectors we recognize or we want to recognize are consumer products and services, enterprise products, e-commerce, health, and edtech. So what does this do for other fields? How many fields remain then? As I said in my last episode, startups are influenced by the fields in which we get our training in. We recognize law, management, medical schools, engineering schools, and therefore the startups are in the same field. So if person X starts a company in which he draws portraits of individuals and sells them and has an income and contributes to the economy through taxes, should not this person be recognized? If we shed our ego and go beyond these sectors, then this individual should be given the respect. What about an individual who, let's say, does proofreading for publishing houses? He is not an in-house proofreader, but from various publishing houses, this individual gets the manuscript and does the proofreading, and one day forms a firm for proofreading any kind of manuscript. I would give this person a lot of respect because proofreading takes a lot of time. It needs patience that you can go through thousands of manuscripts to correct everything. Each publishing house may have a different style sheet, so adhering to, let's say, 10 style sheets is also not an easy task. So yes, even this field is one which should be given the importance. But unless we shed our ego and go beyond the sectors which I mentioned, we will never recognize any other profession in the same way we go crazy over such setups. We talk about infrastructure. A proofreader, an editor, an author doesn't need much of an infrastructure. All they need is an idea, and from that idea they can create a story. And compared to sectors such as consumer products and services, enterprise products, e-commerce, health, edtech, an author doesn't have to worry about failure or success. And if an author's book may not get that recognition and publicity now, even if it does 50 or 100 years from now, the job is well done. Just like the term smart, the term startup is also a misnomer. And if it's the question of who is the smartest, then we know who it is. It cannot be but limited to those who create algorithms. That's a very small part of the ecosystem of what we mean by the word smart. And anyways, writers are not smart. They are creative. They are imaginative. They think of things which even the best computed AI cannot. Since we as humans only view concrete things, and writers and playwrights and plays are engaged in abstract ideas, therefore we wouldn't dare call an author or a playwright an entrepreneur. We need to expand and re-evaluate our idea of what is a startup, who is an entrepreneur, and is the final result only making profits, or is it more than that? Because limiting this to a few sectors doesn't help anyone. And we as a world need more than just innovations, incubators, and algorithms. Till we expand this circle and recognize and give importance to other fields which is beyond the likes of medical, law, engineering, and management, the entire idea surrounding startup might just backfire. The broadcasting sector is anyways at a higher pedestal than these startups, and it doesn't need any kind of push or recognition. For example, my startup has already become a global phenomenon. I have listeners in the Europe, the US, the UK, and one cannot get a more satisfactory feeling than this. So I have already achieved what most startups or new companies struggle to achieve in their initial years, a global success. So that does make my talk show, my podcast, a multinational venture, a MNC if you will. And this podcast has already achieved the status of being the number one podcast in India and the subcontinent. This brings to an end episode 111 on the 11th of September 2019, live from the studios of India's number one podcast, The Weekly Show with Aditya. Thank you for listening to this episode. Good night and take care.